Good morning, Grace Point family, and good morning to all of our friends. It's good to be with you on this early Tuesday morning. Usually we get together on Monday mornings. A little technical difficulty yesterday, but here we are. Tuesday morning, time to look at our call to worship. This week, when we gather together for worship, our call to worship will come to us from Psalm 19, the proclamation of God's word. This is God's word. For the director of music, a psalm of David. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they display knowledge. There is no speech or language where their voice is not heard. Their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. In the heavens he has pitched a tent for the sun, which is like a bridegroom coming forth from his pavilion, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. It rises at one end of the heavens, makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is hidden from its heat. The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The statutes of the Lord are trustworthy, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, giving joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are radiant, giving light to the eyes. The fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The ordinances of the Lord are sure and altogether righteous. They are more precious than gold, than much pure gold. They are sweeter than honey from the comb. By them is your servant warned. In keeping them there is great reward. Who can discern his errors? Forgive my hidden faults. Keep your servant also from willful sins. May they not rule over me. Then will I be blameless, innocent of great transgression. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Great word for us this morning from Psalm 19. At the beginning of that psalm, the first 6 verses of it, the psalm points to creation itself. It looks at all the marvels of creation. We see all the handiwork of God, the sunrise in the morning, the sunset in the evening, the rocks and the trees and the hills and the ocean, and even the snowfall that comes here in Indiana this time of year. We see all these things and we marvel at the works of creation, what God has brought forth, the display of his handiwork, the display of his power. And when we see these things, we say that God is glorified, because these things all demonstrate the glory of God. They all point us to God, and they remind us that God is God. God is the maker of heaven and earth. God is the creator of all things. God is the sustainer of all things. So when we ponder the works of creation, we ponder the beauty and the majesty of creation, we give God glory, because we say God is the one who has brought this about. Now, if you notice the rest of this psalm, it then points to another aspect of creation, not looking at just the created stuff that's out there in our world, but then also it looks at us, at men and women and children. It looks to man. Notice verse 7 and following. The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The precepts of the Lord are right, giving joy to the heart. So at the beginning, it was pointing to the outward, visible aspect of creation, and now the rest of this psalm is pointing to us, God's creation as well. We're made in the image of God, and we're made to glorify God. What is the chief end of man? The chief end of man is to glorify God. So just as the beauty of creation exists, that it would glorify God, so also we exist as well. We exist to glorify God. We exist so that we might be God-honoring in all things, that everything that we do and that everything we say would bring glory and honor to God. Now, I admit to you, my record is not perfect on this by a long shot. I have oftentimes strayed from this precept, from this truth. I have too often focused on my own wants and my own desires, my own pleasures. I have sought my own attitude far too often. I learned from this, and I realized that my life is one which must be after the glory of God, that my life must be one that honors God and that serves God and that glorifies God in all things. Just as we look at creation and we marvel at it and we say, clearly God is God, so also we must look at our own lives. We must say that our lives also must be those which glorify God in all things.